So I got more comments, DMs, questions about a post I did. I think it was titled Who is Real? Pretenders, Contenders on Sunday that I've had probably in the last 6 or 7 months. And so I think it probably struck a nerve with some people. Some people are trying to figure out maybe in their own life, well, yeah, who really is pretending out there to be something that they might not, especially here on places like social media, and who are people that I can really trust. And a lot of people are questioning, well, why now? Why are you coming out with this? What brought that up? And I think, most people are following me for financial advice, building their business, guidance on making sure that they're making smart decisions to support themselves and their family. And so when I see things out there in the economy, potential opportunities, obviously I want to share those with you. But importantly, also from the risk management perspective, when I see things that could harm you and be detrimental to your wealth, I want to share those with you as well. And I think today with social media, it's so easy to look more powerful than you are, to look more beautiful than you are, definitely look a lot more successful and financially secure than you are. And a lot of people are obviously doing that. And so I'll tell you what really prompted this is when I start looking at what's going on with the economy right now. I talked to my academy members about 4 or 5 months ago, and I said the writing's pretty much on the wall that we're more than likely going to be heading into recession in the next 6 to 12 months. And we started talking about preparing your balance sheet, making sure that you're in a financial position to where if there is a dip in the economy where your sales are cut in half, 50, 60, 70%, if things get a little bit more challenging out there for you, if you personally have to take a pay reduction to make sure that your people continue to get paid, that your business still has enough fuel to continue to advertise and compete, which is really important because recessions are some of the best times to actually grow your business, then you needed to start making those moves then. And for some of you out there who didn't do that, if we do go into recession like Elon Musk is saying we're probably in right now, first quarter was negative. I believe second quarter could also be negative. I always talk about the stock market. Why? Because the stock market dips well before we actually see it in the real economy. We've been seeing that happen since last November. I'm watching earnings report after earnings report after earnings report, Target, NVIDIA, Snapchat, every CEO coming and saying there's a slowdown, something we haven't seen in a few years. We're going to start slowing down hiring, cutting expenses, and those are the things, the decisions that are going to actually impact and slow down the economy. So it's getting more and more prevalent that we're going to be heading for tougher times. A lot of you have been investing, building businesses over the last 5, 6 years. It's been super easy. Even with COVID, the government put PPP checks and all this free money into people's hands, but that only lasts so long. And I think we're starting to get to the bottom of the barrel on that. And so a little story, during the last big recession, 08, 09, some of you probably remember that was the housing crisis. I was in a point where we were remodeling our home at that time, putting a lot of money into it, around a couple of $100,000, with what we thought was one of the biggest, most secure builders out there at the time. Long story short, we were out of pocket a lot of money, about $150,000 in cash that was out there. And just one day, the contractors didn't show up to the house. We had paper over the windows because we were replacing all the windows in the house. That bill was close to $100,000 itself. And then when we called the number, it was essentially disconnected. I had a brand new daughter at the time. It was a very, very difficult point in time to be in that type of financial crisis, and it was very painful. There was money that was lost that I really couldn't afford to lose at that time. Thankfully, our business continued to do well, and we were able to grow ourselves out of that. But there was a lot of people I know that lost money that they couldn't afford, and they didn't have time to recover to that contractor. And that's just a little bit of an example about people, the way they run their businesses, the way they run their own personal balance sheets, even when they're making hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. We see this with professional athletes. They're making $1 million, but they're spending 1.2. They're not saving up for that proverbial rainy day. And when the rain comes, what they do is they start to do the things that are not going to be seen outwardly at first. So they'll lay off employees, they'll cut advertising expenses, they'll stop investing in themselves and continuing education. They'll do all those things before they sell their watches or their fancy cars or anything that you could see on Instagram. But eventually what happens is all those decisions that they make impact their business, not advertising, laying off people, and they're not able to survive. And then you obviously see them selling the rest of everything else. And why that's important to you, if you're doing business with people, if you're giving money to people, loaning money to people, working with people in an environment that's recessionary where we're getting to head to, and no one knows how deep it is. I don't think it's going to be anywhere nearly as deep as 08 or 09, but we have a lot of new players who've never experienced a down market before. They've never experienced rising interest rates. So what I wanted to do was just put a gut check out there. I wanted to raise a balloon, red flag, if you will, to everybody who follows me to say it's just going to be a tougher environment. It's going to be more challenging. Don't get into any business propositions. Don't sign any contracts with people that you don't think are going to be able to deliver. And I can tell you from somebody who's been in wealth management and managed nearly $1 billion for a long period of time, just the way somebody looks, the way they talk gives you no personal insight to what they're worth. Some people that you would think are not worth a penny are worth hundreds of millions and billions, and the corollary of people who drive around in fancy cars and all of that stuff. So you really can't tell. There's wealth on both sides. Do your diligence. Just a message to be careful, because this is a point in time where you can lose everything, but also where fortunes could be made. So make sure your own balance sheet's ready. You're prepared to take advantage, and be careful with who you do business with.